Welcome to The Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
Welcome. This is the Changing Stage radio show powered by the mighty EnterTalk Radio Networks, the worldwide leader in music business talk. We are here at the Zac Brown concert at the Verizon Amphitheater. I almost said the Irvine Amphitheater here, but it's a massive production here with all these incredible buses, and we just got through interviewing our good friend Danny De Los Reyes, and now we are here with John Hopkins. Did I say that? Hopkins, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I didn't add an extra S in there. John is a multi-instrumentalist. You've been so versatile, but you started off with a Zac Brown Band back when you're kind of in the grassroots of it. Tell us a bit about your history and how you got started, John.
Zach and I met each other in the late 90s at an open mic night that I was running in downtown Atlanta. And
Awesome.
We became friends then and stayed connected over the years. And I recorded his first album called Homegrown in my studio, and he and I produced that together. And then a year or two after that, he needed a bass player, and I was available and knew all of his songs already because we were buddies. And a sit-in situation kind of turned into a full-time gig situation, and we kind of looked at each other and knew we had something cool going on. So
you knew that this all was going to come about.
Absolutely.
That is incredible.
No question in my mind. No, you can't predict stuff like this. We're so blessed, and we are very lucky, and I have scores of talented friends that are still slugging it out in the bars and in the nightclubs. And
yeah, it's challenging business.
It is. We know how lucky we are, but we work really hard, and I think that one of the interesting things about this band is that we are comprised of band leaders. Most of us have fronted or led in a music director capacity or as a lead writer or something in other bands, and we kind of know what it takes to make things happen. So that makes it easier for us to join forces and make things happen together. It just helps.
Definitely. Now, are you guys still based in Atlanta now, or you're spread out around the country?
Yeah. The core is in Atlanta, just south of Atlanta, and I live on the north side, and Chris is in Birmingham, and Matt is in Nashville. But the rest of the crew and most of our people are based in Atlanta.
Okay. And what's the scene like now in Atlanta? I know that it was flourishing before for music and different things. Is that still the case at this point?
It's still a very vibrant music scene, and we have a lot of diverse genres. It's a huge hip-hop mecca, and it's a huge R&B mecca. It's a huge folk scene. Eddie's Attic, is still one of the biggest acoustic singer-songwriter venues in the country. And there's a huge rock scene. Athens is right down the road. Georgia music is a really big deal, and a lot of people aren't aware of it and or don't even know that they know it. When they start thinking about the bands that they love, they're like, oh, they're from Georgia, right?
R.E.M., I think.
Oh, totally. R.E.M., B-52s, Driving and Crying, Allman Brothers. Just the list goes on.
Yeah. I've actually interviewed Greg before. Really cool guy.
What a cool guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He's the funniest quote after the. I asked him what advice he gives to all the young up and comers, and he's like, "Well, Florentino, don't do drugs, don't drink. Just want to tell you, drugs, drinking, that'll ruin your life. But I'm not talking about God's green weed."
Yeah, right.
I just lost it, man. It was pretty funny. So yeah, he's a cool guy. He came down to San Diego for a show, and we had him on, and it was a really good interview. And kind of speaking on that, and who were the inspirations that kind of helped to mold your sound? What were you listening to back there?
Well, I mean, we've got so many. All of us are big James Taylor and Eagles fans, and I think that kind of fits when you think about what we sort of sound like. Those are groups that kind of fit that. We've all followed the Indigo Girls from the beginning, you know, and Allman Brothers is another. We're basically a singer-songwriter Southern rock band with aggressive tendencies and country leanings. I mean, we love bluegrass and we love hip hop, hip hooray, and we love all genres. You know, it has to. We feel like if there's a truth in it, and if the talent shines through, we're gonna love it. You know,
I think
we want things that are honest, and that's what we listened to growing up.
One of the things that's going to be coming out now is, you know, realness in the music. It's got because that's what's going to get it to rise above all the noise that we have here. Yeah. Do you guys are you still doing a lot of the records in your studio? Have you built out your studio? How's that looking for you?
Well, I actually moved my studio to the house after about 2010, but we did the foundation and You Get What You Give. We did all the drums and bass and some of the rhythms and background vocals in my place. And then we did the rest of it in Nashville and mixed it in Nashville.
Okay.
Up at Keith Stegall's place and John Kelton's place.
Who'd you guys use for the engineering and the mixing?
John Kelton.
Oh, John Kelton. Okay,
yeah,
so the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And, you know, do you find yourself spending a lot more time in Nashville now, or is it...
We're still up there every couple months, and some of us go up there and write on our free time, and others... well, Matt lives there, of course, and he helps run that studio when he's home, because our main studio is there. So when we do records now, it's in Nashville on near the studio, like
Very
Music
cool.
Row area.
So obviously you've toured and played many great shows. So you know this venue is a really, really great venue. Unfortunately, it's going to be moving, but I think they might be looking for some other digs here in town. We've got the sister one down in San Diego. So. With that said, we kind of like to get the kind of one of those interesting stories from the road that you can share that people may not know about, but might find fairly amusing or crazy or what have you. And we'd like to get that behind the scenes thing.
Well, I mean, we're pretty tame these days. Back in the day, one of my favorite stories is we were on the road for 9 weeks straight, which is pretty common in lots of tours, but we go home a lot, so that's a long time for us. It actually stretched into about 12 or 13 weeks, and that's a long time to be out. And within the first week or so, we just thought we're going to start it off right, and Coy and Zach and I shaved our heads into mohawks. And you can tell by now it wouldn't have worked very well for me now because I'm losing the top of my head.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, but at the time it was I had kind of a jacked up mohawk, but Coy's was fantastic. Zach ended up looking more like Mr. T. Like he had the beard going real strong, and then he had but we all had these silly looking mohawks. We wore them for that week, and then I went clean shaven the way you are now, and
I want this, man. I totally want the full on beard.
Go for it, man. It takes a couple months.
I can't do it, man. I'm half Asian, and I only get this and this.
Yeah. We'll just get that long. Get that. Going.
Get the Fu Manchu going on. I'll be rocking it. That'd be awesome. Yeah, we a good friend of ours, Johnny Vatos from Oingo Boingo. He's still rocking his mohawk purple. It's
you got a good hairline, you can do it. Coy's got a strong hairline. Zach and I are thin and on top, and it's kind of, we couldn't do it now.
Let's see if you could talk Danny into it.
I mean, I think Danny would have a strong mohawk.
Yeah, because he's got the whole, the whole ponytail and everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where we all just started pouring Jaeger and all right, we're shaving our heads doing mohawks, but
awesome.
We really we like to stick close to our group, and we don't like to get out in the mix too much.
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky with too many folks around, so we're getting old, man.
I hear you, brother. I'm there, man. I just hit 50, man. I feel like I think I'm 24, but
right?
every so often my body says, "Oh, screw you! You are not 24."
My feet hurt. I just hit 45, and I get out of the bed in the morning, I'm like, my feet.
Oh yeah, that's well, especially my size. I get a little bit more of the feet hurting than I used to. So, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the new things that you're doing. Like you've got your own stuff that you've got coming out. So tell us more about that.
Well, I did a bluegrass record with Balsam Range, is one of the best bluegrass bands in the world. They're out of Asheville, North Carolina area, and that was in 2012. And so I'm still pushing that record. I think people really enjoy it. This last year, I did a record with the Atlanta Pops Orchestra. It was a Christmas album. It was all Christmas standards. Nothing originally written on that from me, but some of my favorite songs, including a version of The Grinch, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah, things that lend themselves to my scream / croon, and a lot of these were just songs that were important to me growing up, and then some of them were just newer things that I wanted to try. And I'm assembling a band now for a new album of my own that will be some sort of like rock bluegrass hybrid, singer songwriter harmony driven hybrid. It's kind of like my version of this band. This band inspires me to do things on a quality level that I need to stick by.
At that elevated level here. We've got a couple of cool bands that are kind of doing that too, like rock, funk, bluegrass. Like a band of personal friends of ours, the Moves, are a great group.
I'm just trying to assemble people that can do everything, and I think that's what we have here. This band can do everything.
Yeah,
and I'm looking for
players that are like that. And you're working with Danny on the project, some of these projects.
Danny and I get a chance to play together a good bit, and we have a buddy named Brian Collins who's working his way up the charts in country right now, and I've known Brian forever, and Danny's known Brian for several years now, and so we get to work together on that. And then whenever I'm doing something acoustically and Danny can come by and be a part of that, then I'm always excited for that. Danny played on the Christmas record, and
that's awesome.
We like to collaborate when we can.
And if you haven't heard Jackie's interview, that's Danny De Los Reyes, part of the De Los Reyes family. From, they just they're all over the place.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out with his niece Liliana with the George Benson show, and then Wally, his brother, who plays for Chicago, used to play with Santana. Great family. And you could do some. You guys work on some products together too. Was I kind of understanding that?
Well, his cajon came out, and Danny did a cajon with gone bops, and it's really a cool instrument. And there was a promotional thing that we did for it a couple months back. Brian was a part of that too, and my buddy Shawn McIntyre on the bass came and played, and we did some songs that featured Danny as our drummer percussionist all in one, and I did some of my tunes to help with that. So
he was mentioning on that interview that his cajon is almost like a drum set and a cajon, a little bit more than your average box and with a trap snare. So
he's got a cool bright kind of snare, high end in the front, and then so you can hit the sides and get the low in the front and get the high. And it's pretty cool. That is
very cool. So we're going to go ahead and close out this interview. I'd like to ask you that same question I asked Greg. All these young, emerging, aspiring artists, because we have a lot of, the network's all about people in the business, and we got a lot of newcomers want to know from players like yourself that came up, right from where they were at, right in the garage, producing, doing it, putting your demos out now, or playing big, amphitheaters. Yeah. What's your advice to these guys and girls?
I mean, it can be very frustrating. It can be trying, and it can be hard to make all these dots connect when you're working really hard to get your music out there. And the key is to not quit. That's what I've told everybody that's ever asked that question. It's that if you stick with it and you hang in there and you make it a priority and you make it happen a little bit every day, something will happen. You may not do what we're doing. You may not want to do what we're doing. But there are enough people out there that want to do what you are doing. Yeah. And if you find them, then you help each other.
Exactly.
And so you just don't quit. You just don't quit. You don't give up. You don't say, I just couldn't do it,
Yeah.
You get into your, as old as we are, and you're still working at it. I'm still pushing. I'm still going for it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's great advice, along with Greg's that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'm a bourbon, kind of a bourbon snob, so I would say stay away from the hard drugs. Enjoy your bourbon in moderation. And I don't really, do the sweet green either. It just makes me tired. But
well, that is Greg. So
yeah, sure.
Well, John, I really appreciate you being on the show. Knock 'em dead tonight with the concert here. I know you're going to do a great job. I'm a bass player, by the way.
Awesome.
So that's cool. The head thing. So that's what I do as well.
Well, I've been off the bass for 3 years. I'm a recovering bass player.
So you actually got a date now. Now that you're not a bass player, you're a recovering bass player.
Right. But so I'm all on guitars and banjos and baritones.
Multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah, all that other stuff.
Very cool.
I use instruments. I don't really play them. I use them.
Hey, you know what? Before we go, who are you endorsed by?
Ernie Ball guitars, Deering banjos, and Mesa Boogie amplifiers.
San Diego boys.
Yeah.
Deering banjos. We got some good friends that work over there.
And Taylor Guitars just does everything for us. They're amazing. And Kala Ukulele is also.
You guys got to go down to San Diego, man. That's where all your gear manufacturers are.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's where the station is. So.
It's a great place to be. San Diego is pretty awesome.
It's not too shabby.
Yeah.
I went down there for 2 weeks, and I stayed pretty much like now going on almost like 20 years now. So it's pretty awesome.
I dig it.
And you start a company. So this has been Florentino Buenaventura on the Changing Stage Radio Show, powered by the mighty EnterTalk Radio Network, the worldwide leader in music business talk. We've been here with John Hopkins from the Zac Brown Band, and we want to thank everybody here, the Verizon Amphitheater, all the folks that allowed us to have this cool green room here. Actually, it's the GM's office, so that's pretty dang awesome.
Yeah.
And all the crew, stay tuned because we're going to be heading over to Michael McDonald after this over at the Newport Jazz Festival. Thanks.
Thank you.